Welcome back, guys, to another Prowler podcast where it's always raw, uncut, and always authentic. Today we're diving into a story about pure resilience, unstoppable drive, and it's showing the world that elite talent has no division. Because this guy made it to the NFL and he came from the NAIA, guys. So just keep that in mind as we get into tonight's topic. The mainstream media loves to focus on the big budget power programs, which don't get me wrong, there's some amazing stories up there as well, but there's also a lot of hidden stories as well at the D2, D3, and NAIA level. So tonight, guys, we're sitting down with a living testament to that grind, a dominant force who proved the NAIA route is a direct path to the pros and can be to the NFL as well. So tonight, our podcast guest is Rontavious, farmer. He's everything an athlete should listen to because he's been one that was overlooked. But this conversation, guys, is going to be focused in on masterclass and betting on yourself and forcing the world to pay attention to everything about athletics. So tonight, guys, welcome onto the podcast, Rontavious Farmer. But before we get diving in tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Rontavious as he introduces himself. But guys, give him a warm welcome.
Yes, sir. As he told y'all, Rontavious Farmer. I am a 4-year player that graduated from St. Thomas University. I'm saying all the accolades will speak for themselves further in the interview. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem, man. We love to spotlight stories like this, and especially a guy that made it to the NFL level. Not many people can say that from an NAI level, but hey, there's some amazing stories out there. And hey, you're the king of the rushing record for a reason, So,
sure.
But Rontavious, we're going to talk about in the first topic, overcoming the under recruiting mindset and embracing the NAI route. A lot of high school athletes often measure their worth by the number of Division I offers they have, and especially hearing from an All-American who took the NAI path like you and made noise at that level that got professional scouts' attention. So when we talk about this, when the high school recruiting process didn't yield big Power 5 offers for you specifically, what was your initial mindset of potentially taking this NAI route, and how did you kind of turn into your fuel to dominate, and which proved the last 2 seasons at St. Thomas?
Honestly, obviously, I just didn't want to sit out and not play football after high school. I narrowed it down to one NAIA offer in Miami, and I had a D2 offer. I forgot the state, but it was somewhere where it snows, and I was kind of weighing my options. I had a lot of pros at Miami. Some of my dogs went there, and at the time, my older brother, he was out of school due to COVID. And I brought him on to my recruiting visit to Miami and basically seeing if they could give him an option, and they offered him as well. So that kind of made me stick to Miami just to help my brother out, and it turned out to be good. And just wanted to dominate all 4 years. I obviously had goals of going D1, and everybody was aware of that. But then I just realized the potential I could have to get out of that school and go to a league was very high. All I had to do was trust God, trust the timing, put in the work, and anything is possible. And I wanted people to see that that's the living testimony of trusting yourself and keep grinding, and the best is yet to come.
Yeah, no, for sure. And especially, hey, people don't realize film is critical. So if you think going D1 is everything, just remember, if you get to go to a smaller school, get starting reps. It weighs heavy in those scouts' eyes, because as we've seen millions and millions of times, and you're proven testimony by it, scouts will find guys. It's just a matter of what kind of film can you produce. So
exactly.
But Rontavious, for a high school kid, like you, holding 0 D1 offers, there's been multiple guys that we've seen have the same path. And a real prime example is Cam Ward. He had 0 offers coming out, and he was the number 1 draft pick. Another testimony that's worth talking about. But what's the truth about how scouts actually evaluate talent regardless of the division on your jersey?
I'd obviously say, you got to be a good player. You know what I'm saying? You got to have the good GPAs. But people don't realize you have to be a student athlete. They always think, oh, yeah, I'm going D1 just to go play ball. No. If your grades isn't good, you're not able to play. That's why it's student athlete. It's not athlete student. And then another tip I would say, be a good person. Who are you outside? Who are you off the field? Who are you walking around campus? Who are you in the classroom? They're not going to recruit somebody that, an a-hole, can't say the word, but they're not going to recruit nobody that's not a good person, that gives kids or, their roommates, their teammates, their classmates, their teachers, any type of problem. So really everything, all the little things that you do that you think people are not looking at, they're looking at. So if you do all that in a good manner, then you have a good chance of getting picked up.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you never know where it can lead, right? And you never know what door you might close where it might not go. You know, if you close a door, the wrong door, that could have been your next jump to the next opportunity, right? And I tell
Sure.
I tell this pretty much on every podcast, you know, my high school head coach, when I first got my big job offer, which I didn't go play professional, but my collegiate coach, he was roommates with the guy that hired me where I'm at now, which, yeah, I own the Prowler recruiting and NIL service, everything, but I also work at FedEx as a cyber risk analyst. And people don't realize is you don't know the connections that this coach might have, the other coach. So if you close one door and you close it on, let's say NAIA coach, because you know a lot of players think, oh, I'm not going NAIA because it's a lower level school. It's not D1 and not D2 nowadays, right? But you don't realize where that coach could be the next year, right? We just saw Bethel University here in Jackson, Tennessee. Their head coach went D1 to Stetson University down in Florida, right? So think about the amount of players that he might have potentially recruited now that might have closed the door on him because he was at Bethel the year before. So it's things like that players got to keep in mind. You never know where that coach can end up. That next coach could be the next Andy Reid. You know, you just never know. But, you know, jumping to the next topic, I think is really crucial, Rontavious, and it's about handling personal adversity and mental toughness off the field. And you already kind of hit on it, but, you know, skill alone doesn't get you out of a small school football. It takes extreme mental resilience, kind of like you showed, and especially when facing real life tragedy while trying to perform at an elite level, you know, because injuries happen. So question, you know, you faced a lot of uphill battles in your first year of college, you know, with a family tragedy, the death, before you even came as a freshman on campus, you know. How did you find the strength to keep pushing, and what advice would you kind of give to a younger athlete dealing with some heavy personal loss off the field, kind of like you encountered your first year in college?
The strength I had, I always had to remind myself how my father would, you know, look at me if I was a quitter. He raised me my whole life to never give up on anything. So why give up when he was pushing me to be the best I could be every single day, even if after the long days of work, after the long days of stressing and, you know, not having your best days, he was always there for me and telling me to keep going, keep going, keep going. No matter what, I could lose 9 times to get up 10. So just having that in the back of my head, doing all this work all the work he did for me, if I was to just wake up and say, no, I'm good, I don't want to do this no more, how would he feel? And that kind of didn't never sat right with me. And the advice, I'll just definitely say, keep going and keep God first. Like, keep God. If God is first, keep him closer. If you're close to God, get as close as you can with him, because I was close with God, but as soon as my dad passed away, I kind of got way closer, like just random conversations, multiple prayers throughout the day. I wasn't really always doing that. But once I got closer with God, I always felt like at the end of the day, I would be strong enough to keep going.
No, that's awesome. And people doesn't realize the power of, you know, having God in your corner. You know, here at the Prowler, we also on our podcast channel, we have a pastor like every Monday night brings a devotion. And the way he brings the devotion, it's always tailored to a athletic experience because he's a former collegiate football player at the D2 level, right? So it brings a very unique connection to our audience, but also to the athletes that we have as NIL players that we have on our recruiting side of things, you know. And the connection there has been unbelievable because, you know, some players, yeah, they're going to turn us away because we advertise, you know, God on our channel. I mean, we don't force it on you. It's on our channel if you want to watch it. But the main avenue for that is to realize what kind of connection you could build and who you could rely on those, you know, tough times, because those tough times are going to hit. Life's not perfect. Life's not going to be a perfect uphill road, right? It's going to have some dips in it. There's never no mountain that's got a perfect slope, right? So,
Exactly, yeah.
and I think that's what the unique thing is. That's what we offer, and I think you hit it right on the head. You know, during that time, you relied on God, and it helped you stay focused because a lot of people, you know, I've seen it happen. They lose a family member or something. They typically turn to the wrong thing to help drown out that pain because it does hurt. It's not a fun thing to deal with, and so I think that how you worded it was perfect, Rontavious, and I think a lot of athletes hopefully will hear that and take that to heart because God being in your corner, and it doesn't matter how close you are to him because he's going to always be there. I mean, we were built in his image. And I think that's the most crucial thing that people got to realize. Yeah, you might not have been close to him before, but that doesn't matter to him. His word's always there, and the words of his wisdom is the most crucial part of the thing. So,
Sure.
but you know, Rontavious, we'll leave the main podcast discussion here. Is as you were an undersized back, proving yourself every single week, you know, what kind of daily routines or mental habits kept you focused when self-doubt kind of try to creep in?
I honestly think going back to God, because I had a lot of doubts coming into college about whether I was going to play a lot because of my size. Because you always hear college like size matters, but I'm on the shorter side. I'm 5'8" as a running back. You know what I'm saying? I didn't weigh as much as I did now, obviously. So basically, just telling God to give me an opportunity to go showcase my talent, because I know I'm the best. I know I put in the work to be the best. I know I studied to be the best. But just having them conversations again with God, like He's gonna lead you to the way that you need to be led. And the daily routines, man, just waking up every morning, doing what you got to do. Because a lot of people get distracted in college because, you know, it's a lot of females on campus. It's a lot of people on campus, a lot of events. It's a lot of things that could throw you off, you know, obviously the social battery of talking to other people and trying to keep your GPA up, because college classes are tough. But you keep your priorities straight, you'll be good. And I was trying to make sure football and school was my top two priorities. And a lot of people forget, like, I always tell people to take care of their body. If you feel like you're at 100% health-wise, go in the training room again. I stayed in the training room. Even when I felt like I was the best, I always stayed in there, because at the end of the day, availability is the best ability. You know what I'm saying? You go out there and play at your best ability because you don't feel no injuries or nags or anything type in your body, then you'll be able to perform the best.
Mm-hmm. No, without a doubt. I mean, you kind of said it. You say, you know, you talk about your body and the health, and I don't think that gets talked about enough. You know, I mean, you get
Yeah, it doesn't, man.
you get one temple is what I call it, one temple to take care of. If you don't take care of it to the fullest advantage, it will burn out. There's ligaments in there. There's other stuff that, you know, can only last so long when it's been put underneath the pressure, but you're not rehabbing the right way, right?
Yes, sir.
I've seen it a million times from, you know, we've seen it from guys that made it to NFL level several times, that sometimes are the biggest, strongest guys, but they don't really rehab or take care of their body the right way in the off season, right? That's a huge thing. You know, you get one chance ultimately, right? You get one chance in a lot of ways. Now, has science came a long way to help with ACL repairs and other ligament repairs? 100%. But each time you have a surgery like that, I mean, heck, prime example is Nick Chubb. You know,
Exactly. Yeah. Prime example.
He was one of the best running backs we ever seen in college football, right? Dude could run through a brick wall and still get back up. And how many ugly knee injuries have we seen in him somehow still come back and squat 700 pounds like he did last year?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, you know, that's a testament to how he's rehabbed, though, and how he's been able to even still come back from those ugly injuries, because that last one, we thought there was no chance he was coming back. But he still came back, and he's not the force he was, but he's still pretty force to be reckoned with. And I think that speaks to, you know, what he intakes in his body, not only, you know, mentally, but also physically, because nutrition is the most crucial part. If you're feeding it fried chicken every day, which I saw a lot of players do that, you're not going to get the same result out of it as a guy eating grilled chicken every day.
Yeah.
So, but I think you hit it right on the head, and I'm glad you brought that point up, because a lot of people don't talk about, you know, taking care of your body and what that can turn into. Because if you take care of your body, you're going to perform better naturally, and that's 100% fact.
Facts.
But you know, the spotlight tonight, Rontavious, and I think you know, we've hit on it a couple times in the past with previous NAIA athletes, but this is the first time we've had a player from the NAIA be on the podcast that had a chance at the professional level, and specifically the NFL, which is the highest level you could ever reach. You know, and the topic is, don't sleep on the NAIA, right? You know,
no, not at all.
If a high school athlete is sitting at home right now with an NAIA offer on the table, but they're hesitating or feeling disappointed because it isn't D1, what would you tell them, Rontavious, on why they should
go take it? Go take it. Go take it. Football is football. I'm a prime example. I've been at an NAIA for 4 years, and I still had a chance to play in the NFL. Obviously, I didn't make no team, but just to get a chance is what people dream of. It's so many people that will be in their shoes that don't have nothing. The NAIA offer would mean the world to them. So don't take no offer for granted. Because at first, I'm not gonna lie. In high school, I was D1 or bust. I was D1 or nothing. But that opened my eyes to just like people would do anything to go play football again. So take that offer and do what you got to do. It might not be the best the first year, the second year, the third year, but as long as you go, just go take the opportunity. You never know what you could get out of it. Yep. I was heading into an NAIA. I always had NFL goals, but I never always thought I could go or get a chance in the NFL from St. Thomas University. And I'm being so honest. But I stayed down, kept grinding, kept God first, and boom, I had an opportunity. That's what people dream of. So go take that offer, man.
You know, for sure. I mean, not many people realize how sick the St. Thomas facility is. So if people think NAIA
it's growing every year.
Yep.
Every year.
I mean, your stadium is borderline. Your stadium is better than some FCS schools. So people need to realize.
You, man, it's growing. People sleep on NAIA. Go take that offer.
No, for sure. But, you know, before I say this last comment, before we jump to the discussion question, why don't you tell the audience how many rushing yards you held in your collegiate career? Because it's the highest at the collegiate level, right?
Any Florida, any college level in Florida, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, all that. I'm number one.
That's amazing.
Not to toot my horn, but hey, that's the facts.
Hey, no running back of Florida, no running back of Florida State has more rushing yards than you, and that's a big fact to hold, no matter what level you play at. Because
no matter what level.
At the end of the day, every football field is 100 yards, whether it's SEC or NAIA. If you can ball, you can ball. Period. You know.
Facts.
So
yeah, that number is my number is 5,719 rushing yards, and I have 67 touchdowns.
Man, that's incredible. You know, when you get to have a legacy like that, it don't matter where you played at. That is a legacy you can live with, teach your kids one day, hey, this was me one day. And you can, you know, hopefully mentor other players to realize, hey, if you want to be that guy, you still go be that guy. It doesn't matter what level of ball it is. You know, every level of ball is the same amount of yards at the end of the day. There's no shortcut.
Same amount. The only thing I want out of that is a statue at St. Thomas University, and I'll be satisfied. I need some type of statue, something.
Hey, that is more than most people will ever get in their lifetime. So that will be awesome. But you know, Rontavious, and you kind of know about this. You know, what do you think NFL/pro scouts value more when evaluating an under the radar prospect, kind of like you? We've seen it happen over the years. You know, Danny Woodhead was a running back about your size that made it to the Chargers and had a pretty good stint and had a pretty good career in the NFL. So
yeah, I think heart. You gotta have heart out there, man. Like obviously we come into the game short and small, but the coaches want to see if he's gonna be able to go up against the big dog, if he's gonna step up to the plate and practice. If they're doing certain drills, if he's in the back of the line, if he's jumping up when nobody else wants to jump up, you gotta have heart. That stands out. And then obviously just knowing the game because we're going to be playing at the highest level. NFL is the highest level. It's literally a job. You're getting paid millions to go do what you got to do. They're not going to put you in if you don't know certain coverages, if you don't know certain routes, you don't know certain schemes, you don't know which hole to hit. All of that matters. So I would just say if confidence is everything. If you study the game, come in there confident, hey man, your play is going to take over. And I always say, like, when I was in NAIA playing games, it sounded kind of a little cocky, but I used to tell some of my teammates, like, bro, don't even overthink. It's NAIA. A lot of people feel like they shouldn't be NAIA. They should be D1. So in order for you to feel like that, you should be killing it. So I go out there and try to average at least 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, I need to dominate. You know what I'm saying? So confident. And then confidence turns into domination once you just lock in on the little details.
No, that's for sure. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize is heart goes a long way. If you don't have that heart or that dog, no matter what level you are, you can be the most physical, gifted player. But if you don't have it, it's a waste of talent ultimately, you know.
Waste of time, yeah, waste of time, man.
And you know, that's a hard thing, you know, especially with the transfer portal nowadays. You know, NAI is not so much, but you do see a lot of NAI players, you know, transferring out and going to the bigger levels nowadays, right? Since that's a door they can use, right? But people don't realize, and a lot of coaches we've had on the podcast have said this, is you got to be careful because if you have a guy that comes in the locker room with the wrong type of heart, and he don't have the heart for the game that you want to have, it can create a toxic environment in that locker room and can corrupt it to the point that the good players won't be able to shine like they needed to make it to the next level.
Yeah,
And that's why you typically need that leader to step up in the locker room and kind of be that example, but also lead it in a way that it won't be able to turn that way. So, and we've seen that happen a lot with the transfer portal. There's been a lot of teams that we thought were going to blow the chains off at the D1 level, D2 level, D3 level as well, but they didn't turn out to be what they thought they were going to be because of typically that chemistry in the locker room, so.
Yes, sir.
But, Rontavious, we always spotlight a podcast quote, and I heard this one on our buddy at D1 Rejects, Kobe, and you said on his podcast, you said, at the end of the day, football is football. You put the pads on, you put the strap up on your helmet, and you go out there and compete no matter what level you're at. And I think that
no matter where you at, man.
And I think that speaks to what you kind of demonstrated, and what you kind of stated tonight as well is no matter what level you're at, guys, you can make it to the pros. Rontavious is a prime example of that.
And we actually went against 2 D1s when I was there. We went against Butler my sophomore year. I put up 100 over them in a touchdown. And we went against Stetson my junior year at 2 touchdowns and over 200 yards. So, the talent is there. They're going to look at the big games. If you ball, you can ball.
Yep.
That's a proven fact. If you can ball, you can ball.
And plus, what better place to go to St. Thomas in Miami? I mean,
come on, man. City. And I'm not even an outside type of person, but who wouldn't want to go to Miami? Come on, bro.
That's a prime recruiting. If you can't make it to the University of Miami, well, look in the back door. They got St. Thomas down the street with amazing campus.
Right down the street.
And
with the Dolphin Stadium right up the street.
Yep.
Dolphin Stadium right up the street. Everything's there.
That's awesome, man. Well, Rontavious, before I wrap up tonight's podcast, I always give our guests one chance to give one last comment to anybody that watches the podcast or tunes in, what is one comment you would give a current high school recruit that is struggling in the recruiting game, but doesn't truly know what NAIA is and what it could potentially be for their life?
And NAIA is another opportunity to play this little kid game that everybody dream of playing. There's so many people out there that cannot play due to injuries, due to other reasons. Don't turn down no NAIA offer. If it doesn't even look like the best situation, you can make it a best situation. My situation here in the college, my dad literally passed away a week before. Literally a week before I was attending school. So if anybody knows how bad the situation can be leading into college, I know. I experienced it. I wanted to quit a couple days in the fall camp my freshman year, but you just have to keep going, to keep God, keep faith, and everything will be okay. But don't turn down no NAIA offer. NAIA, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, they're all opportunities to play football. Go take whatever you get.
No, absolutely correct. And I'll leave it at this before I wrap it up. Rontavious, 5% only make it to college. Below 1% make it to the pros. So people need to realize there's a lot of people in college that's trying to get an opportunity. And there's a lot of schools out there that have an opportunity for you to play. But a lot of players don't even realize that down the street, they do have this school that has collegiate football. And it's because they've never been taught to look at the bigger picture.
Crazy, man. I went to an NAIA and I stepped foot into an NFL organization over a lot of D1s, over a lot of D2s, over a lot of D3s, over a lot of JUCO transfers. So it doesn't matter where you go. As long as you produce, they will find you. Go take that offer.
No, 100%. But thank you, Rontavious, for coming on. It's been a great conversation, and hopefully it shines a light on the NAIA level, because it's a growing atmosphere down there, especially in football.
Yes, sir.
And baseball.
Appreciate you for having me. Yes, sir. Spread the
No
word.
problem. But as always, guys, that's another wrap on another powerhouse episode of the Prowler Podcast. Tonight, like I said, we had Rontavious Farmer on. Showed us exactly what happens when raw talent, relentless drive, and unshakable work ethic takes on the world, ultimately. They prove that no matter where you start, elite greatness cannot be denied. So, guys, when we highlight the gold instead of the dirt, we give the next generation the ultimate blueprint to win in life. And I'll tell this to coaches also. Stop looking for the noise. Start broadcasting the greatness, because no matter where you're at, you can produce. So subscribe and hit that notification bell, guys, because each week we're bringing another heavy-hitting podcast, just like tonight with Rontavious Farmer, and we wish him the best in his next journey. But as always, guys, Prowler up, and we'll see you guys next week.